Hello everyone, this is my intro video, so I'm just gonna quickly, hopefully, uh, tell you a little bit about myself and some of the issues I've had growing up, I suppose, and shit like that. I remember 4 years old, 3 years old, having crushes on girls, wanting to be able to stand up when I pee, uh, wanting to just be friends with all the boys and not be considered girly or anything like that. Hated wearing dresses, etc. It was pretty easy growing up for about the first half of my life. I'm 20 years old now. Um, I went to the same school until I was 10, so everyone knew me. They knew I was a tomboy. They didn't really give a fuck. Um, Everyone liked me. I'm funny, you know. People say I'm charismatic. Uh, but it was a little difficult still, even though everyone knew me, because I don't think they quite understood why I was so boyish. I have to say that I was never really bullied or harassed my entire life in school. I think it was because I was so nice and I could get along with everyone and I could always make people laugh, so they felt bad sort of making fun of me to my face or anything like that, but I know that people talked about me behind my back, like, oh, what's up with that girl? Um, so that kind of hurt, and I mean, there were a few instances where some shitty stuff happened, and it really hurt, but people usually never bullied me to my face, and I feel like if I had gotten picked on, I would have beat the shit out of them anyway. And I think people were probably scared of that because I was also known pretty well for being like the strongest girl and really tough because I always played sports and shit like that. And like whenever new students would come in, they would kind of be surprised and be like, "What? You're not a girl? Psh, you're not a girl." And be in denial for a little while until everyone was just like, "Yeah, she's a girl." And inside my head, I was just like, "Oh, it sucked." Then when I was about 10, we moved across town, so I had to switch schools. And even before that, I had started not wanting to go to school and like faking sick and stuff like that, but not really for social reasons, more for just the fact that I didn't really like school. Even though I'm really good with people, I'm still really shy and, always worried about what they'll think of me and stuff like that, like everyone is. For the first 2 months, I don't think anyone besides the teachers actually knew that I was a girl. Even though they knew my name was Anna, they all kind of thought I was a boy anyway. And all the girls would like flirt with me. Keep in mind, we were like 10 years old, so this is the point in your life where you really start noticing the difference between boys and girls and like start getting crushes on people and start dating and stuff like that. And all the girls would be like, come put their arm around me and try to be nice and stuff like that. And guys would come put their arm around me and be like, yeah, man, we're buddies, we're buddies. And then, oh, it was just so awkward after they found out. And they were all like, oh, what? That doesn't make sense. So that just made me really uncomfortable. And I started skipping school a lot more. And I would actually get stomach aches in the morning from worrying and being uncomfortable. And then the next year I switched schools again to go to the private school that my brother was going to. And, private schools are different from public schools, mostly in terms of academia, but this school, I don't know, people were just kind of really assholes. They would try to like accuse me of having crushes on boys and stuff like that, and I would make up an excuse like, oh, they're too skinny for me or something like that. When really I had crushes on girls and they didn't even know. It was even harder to try to go to that school with the combination of being uncomfortable with all the people and the fact that the school was a lot harder, like the school work. So I only went there for 2 years, and then I actually failed out because I never did any of the work, and I didn't show up a lot, so I missed a lot of stuff. So then the next year I went back to public school, and I actually ended up going to the school that pretty much all the people from that first public school I went to were in, so that was kind of awkward again. And I ended up dropping out halfway through the year, just because it was so shitty. That was probably like the peak of my depression. It was when I was 14. And then the next year they let me pass grade 8 even though I didn't do anything. And I went on to try to go back to the school, went for a day, hated it. So my mom tried to look for another different kind of private school. And I ended up going to this really, really small school that was only like 30 years old. And the class was really small. I was in grade 9, and the class was comprised of like 14 people, combination class of grade 8 and 9, so that's really small, right? And the class was mostly girls. There were like 4 guys or something. And it was really easy to get along with everyone there because it was kind of like a hippie school almost, but they were really sheltered at the same time. So it was difficult, but it was way better than any other school I think I'd ever been to. And that was kind of when I sort of came to terms with the fact that I would like have to tell people that I like girls instead of guys. And that was a little iffy because all girls in my class were, we were like really tight. It's like a group of 7 girls, and they were all really tight. And they were kind of, after they knew that I liked girls, like I came out and everything, I was like, I'm a lesbian. They could kind of tell like which girl I had a crush on, because I'm really obvious. So that was kind of difficult because they were kind of like, oh, are you checking me out all the time? And like I had been in on some intimate times, like when everyone's having a sleepover and we're all just the girls together, and they would like change their clothes, and I was like closing my eyes and just pretending not to look and stuff like that, so they got kind of embarrassed. So went to high school. That sucked. Had my first girlfriend. That kind of opened my eyes to like a lot of things. She changed my life in a dramatic way. Kind of brought me out of depression. But I dropped out of school and kind of didn't do anything. I didn't work. I didn't go to school. I mostly just hung out with my friends and, smoked weed and stuff. But I started learning about trans stuff in high school, grade 10, GSA. Woo! And I was kind of like, oh, yeah, that sort of makes sense, for me. And I had actually learned about sex changes when I was pretty young. I was like in grade 2, and I probably announced to some people, I was like, I want to be a boy so bad, and they were like, oh, do you know you can get a sex change? And I was like, say what? And they were like, yeah, you can get surgery, and then you take drugs for the rest of your life. And I was like, surgery and drugs, no thanks. But after I started meeting more queer people and more trans people, and I was sort of opened up to this whole community of like, it was kind of a combination of punks, like dirty politically correct punks with queers and artists and all those sorts of people, I really started to realize that, yeah, I am a boy on the inside, and it sucks to have a girl's body, and I don't want it. So, about a year and a half ago now, I changed my name and started using boy pronouns, at least amongst friends. And the group of friends that I was in were really good with it. Like, they already knew tons of people like that, so it was like change like that. And that was really nice. And some of my older friends had a little bit of problems with it, but I was really understanding, and I understood because I had had friends who'd changed their names, and it was really hard for me to try to call them by a different name because you know them by their name. So, but then you realize, it's just a name. It's not really who you are. So, and of course my parents still don't call me my preferred name or my preferred gender pronouns, which is okay. They're really old, actually. I'm the youngest of four, and two of my siblings are half siblings, but they're like 20 years older than me. So I'm the youngest, and my parents are really old and they don't get this shit, so it's okay. And I know that they'll love me no matter what, they just want me to be happy, blah blah blah. So that's okay. But yeah, I'm pre everything. I'm in the therapy. I switched therapist because I didn't like the other one. She was I felt like she was going by the book too much, and this new lady is kind of more of like a hippie, sort of like, yeah, she's just funny. So hopefully some shit will be happening soon. She seems like she can understand me a bit more. This video is really long, so I'm gonna have to edit it and try to put in all the important shit. So I think that's it for today. I don't know how often I'm gonna update, but we'll see. Alright, y'all. Have a good day.